All praise to the Most High. Hey, shalom, 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 Israel. We are the sons of Zion Israelites coming to you with another video for your edification, man. Welcome to Faith by Works, another episode that further perfects your walk with the Most High God, man. Where we study a commandment week and week out, right? To grow closer unto Him, to show our love, to prove our love, if you will, right? This is the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, giving thanks to Yahweh the Father by Him. So not to serve our own belly, not to please men, not to obtain a name or reputation or any way, shape, or form of vainglory. We don't do this for those things, right? We do this to glorify the Lord. That's why in the Paleo Hebrew we say, "Call Allah Yahweh by Hashem wa Malak Yahweh Shai." That's giving all honor and praises to who the world calls God by way of His Son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. This is the book of James, chapter 2, and verse 14. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? So simply believing, simply saying, with your lips, I fear God, I believe in God, I got a relationship with God, I know He exists. Is that enough? Is that sufficient enough? Well, when we skip down to verse 17, it says what? Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Ye a man say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. All right. So in the book of James, it's explaining. You prove your faith, your love, your reverence, right? Your fear, your relationship with the Most High God by the fruits of your doings. Okay. By your works. You got to prove it, right? We often understand this, this similar to when it comes to marriage. We understand that there are rules and regulations to marriage. The man has a role and the woman has a role, and you prove your love for one another by the works in your relationship. So how much more so with the Most High God? Why can't we understand that? Well, brothers and sisters, we learn the commandment and we learn the truth week in and week out to further perfect that. This is the book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Now, what's the deed and what is the truth? Today is part 3 of Renew Thy Mind. All right, the series of Renewing Thy Mind. And in this, 3-part series, right, within Faith by Works, okay, we are capturing all of the different strongholds on our people's minds and why and and how that hinders them from renewing their mind and becoming a new creature in Christ, right? We've listed, 4 so far in in both parts 1 and 2, right? But today I'm gonna try to dish out as many as we can, right, through the Spirit of the Lord, and also encourage you to maybe think of some on your own, right? Because we only have so much time. An hour really goes quick, but I want guys, I want sisters and brothers and sisters to really think about these different strongholds that comes upon our people that hinders them from renewing their mind in Christ, right? So let's go ahead and refresh the commandments, right? Romans chapter 12 and verse number 2, it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. All right. So the proving process of you determining the will of God is you actually making that transitioning from the way this world wants you to think and the different mottos in this world, if you will. And then also looking to see what the Most High God wants and what it means to be Christ-like and how Christ will handle certain situations, right? Precept in the NLT, 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 4, it says, we use God's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments. We destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing God. We capture their rebellious thoughts and teach them to obey Christ. And after you have become fully obedient, we will punish everyone who remains disobedient, right? So by the power of the Most High God through the Spirit, Why we have created this class, right? This series within this class to tear down the strongholds of this world and how they have our people in the headlock. All right. So one matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and yield there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to you, Casadia. Go ahead and tap in there.
Mighty opening, King. Like I said, this is part 3 of renewing your mind, right? At the end of the day, one thing that we always want to focus on is making sure that we step out of that old mindset that we had when we were walking in the world, right? And that could be a real hard thing to do because at the end of the day, it's night and day, right? It's night and day. What we learned growing up, the ways of the world is night and day versus the way that the Most High wants us to move and wants us to think and wants us to deal with Him and with each other, by and large, right? Real quick, through the Spirit, get the Book of James, chapter 4, and let's see. Let's start at verse 4, right? The classic. It says, "Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God," right? So being a friend of the world, right? What does that mean? Does that necessarily mean that you like to participate in all types of political conversation and debate? No. Does that mean that you necessarily agree with the trajectory of your government? No. Being a friend of the world is literally having that mindset, right? That you can do whatever it is you put your mind to, right? Whatever it is you set your heart upon, right? It's something that is ingrained in us as kids, right? They phrase it as a motivational speech. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be, right? Nas got a song talking about that. I know I can. I know it's something that's ingrained in us, right? But at the end of the day, we all have one duty, right? Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, right? Fear God, keep the commandments. That's the whole duty of man, right? So hopefully within this series, and this being part 3, we've kind of chopped down. We're not gonna get all of them, obviously, but we've kind of chopped down a lot of the mindsets that we've grown into, that we've grown up with, that make us think that we're moving in a manner that's righteous, when at the end of the day we're moving in a worldly mindset, right? And being a friend of the world, moving with that worldly mindset is being at enmity with the Most High God, right? I'm gonna keep reading though. Verse 5, it says, "Do ye think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusted to envy?" Right? That's a mighty point that we have to think about, right? We were all put here on this earth, right, in this flesh, right? And this flesh is subject to go off at any given time, right? That shit is what it is, right? And the spirit that dwelleth in us, it lusts to covet, it lusts to envy, it lusts to want to keep up with. That's where you get that phrase from, keep up with the quote unquote Joneses, right? You got multi-million and billion-dollar industries of crap. Name the sector, it don't matter, of people that are selling you an ideal lifestyle, whether it be financially, whether it be in the fitness realm, right? Whether it be in the influencer realm, right? We got industries, you got a whole bunch of people that have made buku money trying to sell you a lifestyle and telling you what to do in order to achieve this lifestyle, right? The only reason stuff like that is even possible is because what? The spirit that's in us lusted to envy, right? We want to keep up with the Joneses. We look at the grass on the other side and see it as greener, right? And we look at our grass and see it's brown and patchy. This is, I don't want to say it, but quote unquote human nature, right? And these are things that we have to get out of. Verse 6, it says, "But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he said, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble." Right? And it takes a whole lot of pride to think that you deserve the greenest grass. Right? Because at the end of the day, none of that, you can heap up all you can, all types of riches. Right? That was one of the points that we were going to go into last week. Right? Trust nobody but the dollar. Right? You can go in, you can heap up all manner of riches towards yourself. Right? But are you satisfied at the end of the day, or do you always want more? Right? That shows just how much pride that is within you, right? And the Most High God is going to resist you, right? Because again, you are His enemy, right? You think that you deserve this, that, and third, when really, no. The only thing we deserve is death, if we want to be frank about it, right? And if you were to have that humble and contrite spirit, knowing that you're deserving of death, because again, we've all sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High, and the wages of sin is death, right? We're shaping in iniquity, right? So we're here to go off. If we humble ourselves and stop looking to keep up with the Joneses, stop looking to want to have our peace, our heaven, our prosperity here on earth in this lifetime, right? When we humble ourselves and realize that we are just dust and ashes, right? We draw closer to the Most High God, right? I'm gonna give one more verse and I'm gonna pass it, right? 2 more verses, right? It says, "Submit yourselves therefore to the Most High, resist the devil and he will flee from you," right? And again, the devil comes in a myriad of ways, but in this context, the devil comes as all of these shiny things that you think you should have, right? All of this particular lifestyle that you think you should be living, right? He comes in that mindset, right? He lets you look at all of these shiny, glittery things, and you begin to think in your heart, "Hey, I deserve that. I need that," right? My life is not fulfilled unless I have that. Just like that person over there has it. If he can have it, why can't I have it, right? You have to resist these type of thoughts. You have to humble yourself down, and you have to realign yourself with the will of the Most High God, right? Verse 8, "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded," right? "Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Most High, and he shall lift you up," right? That should be the only thing that we're focusing on, humbling ourselves to the Most High, renewing our minds, right? And allow him to fulfill the promises that he written to us all throughout this book, right? What that are you?
Once again, mighty points as always from the brother Kasadia, right? Another stronghold, our people have, right? We'll just say like this, like back in the world, right? Our people are known, our nation is known for having an evil eye towards each other, right? Like a lot of hatred for everybody, as far as like our people for no reason, right? Like they be ready to fight for no reason, ready to kill for no reason. A lot of foolishness, right? We'll talk about someone because they're different, right? There's a whole different mean mugging. You feel me? And a lot of our people carry that type of mentality into the truth. They may not be like banging like gangbangers or in the streets like quote unquote the thugs would be or whatnot, but we'll have like eternal beef. We'll have like camp beef, right? We have people that are like uppity Israelites. Like we don't mess with these people, and we shouldn't really have that mentality, right? So I'm gonna give the definition of hypocrisy or being a hypocrite, right? The behavior of people who do things that they tell other people not to do. So if we're out here teaching people to love thy brother, right? Teaching everybody that be united and not divided, we have to preach that. We have to live that as well, right? 'Cause otherwise, we would be considered hypocrites like the Pharisees, right? We were going to teach the law but not do that, and we got to stay away from that, right? So I'm gonna get the classic. One of the first things that you will learn coming into the truth, right? And that we're supposed to live by and abide by and apply. So let me get Leviticus 19 and 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So it says right there, we should not hate thy brother in thine heart. We're supposed to love our brother. We're not supposed to look at them crazy just because they may have a differences of doctrine, or they may have a different belief, or they're in a different camps or anything of that nature, right? We're not supposed to do those type of things. We're supposed to love one another, because on the outside looking in, one Israelite equals every Israelite. That's what people look at us as. You know, they might say, "Are we the brothers in such and such colors?" No. We ask somebody, "Can we speak to them?" They say, "I already talked to y'all." You ain't talked to us. This is our first time at this new spot. So, you know, on the outside looking in, they're thinking we're all the same. And we can't be just displaying internal beef with each other. Let me go to 1 John 3 and 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. Right? So if you hate your brother, you're basically a murderer. And we know murderers can't get into the kingdom, as it says in Revelations 22 and 1 Corinthians 6, right? So we have to be different amongst each other, right? Let me get 1 John 4 and 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? Not just playing upon tables, you're going to be considered a liar, right? If you're saying that you love God, you want to keep his commandments, but you hate your brother. Like, how does that work? Like, you haven't seen God, you haven't seen Christ, excuse me, Yahweh Shai, but you with your brother here every day, and y'all going out on the highways and hedges, y'all putting your life on the line, y'all safety on the line with each other, but on the inward, you hate him. How that work? You can't be into the kingdom if you're going to hate somebody. How do you think that's going to play out? You think you ain't going to like somebody because you come in on the east side of the gate and they on the north side of the gate? What you think? Y'all going to be like beefing or look at them crazy? No, everybody's supposed to be on one accord and in the same page, right? Let me get. We're going to get Titus 3 and 2. And it says to speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers but gentle, showing all meekness unto men, unto all men. So even like when we was in the world, we might have speak evil of each other, right? For no reason. They just talking about you, right? We're not supposed to do that, right? That's foolishness, right? That's pettiness, right? Let me go to the next one. For we ourselves for we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving divers lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful, and hating one another. It says we were sometimes like that, right? That's supposed to be our past tense. And as we said, coming into this truth, we're supposed to renew our mind, right? We're supposed to be a new creature. We're supposed to love our brother, have our brothers back, right? We're supposed to be able to show love to him, like how Moses did when he saw his brother being slaughtered, beat up by the Egyptian. Only thing Moses did was look to the left and look to the right, and he went to go take care of business. He didn't look at him and was like, does he have friends on? He didn't look at him and was like, what camp shirt he got on? He didn't look at him in those type of manners and foolishness, because at the end of the day, we're all here trying to rehearse these righteous acts, right? So basically, we just need to just practice what we preach. We need to let our light shine amongst the world. So we just have to have good eternal love for our brother and get that hate out of our heart towards each other.
God, all praise to the Most High, mighty points. Hey, man, I'm gonna follow your lead on that one, King. An evil eye. You know, when we go to when we actually go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 54, it starts off by explaining how we got an evil eye towards, our brother who was once tender and delicate, and how we treated him right. Well, following that in the same verse, it says how, the man and the woman have an evil eye towards one another. So let me share my screen real quick. Uh, let's see. All right, let me get the definition of the two advocacies that serves as, an evil eye is amongst genders, right? We're gonna get the definition of misogyny, right? Can brother see my screen? Right.
Come.
All praises, right? So the definition, right, when we Google it, right, we see that misogyny, according to the overview, it says is the dislike of, the contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. Okay. A lot of times due to, when the betrayal of trust has taken place so many times, right? Um, what tends to happen is we develop what you call a hatred towards the opposite sex. Not in all cases, right? But this happens sometimes, right? Amongst us as genders. And we have to do is we have to remember that for the woman for who she is and how the Lord has designed her. And we have to, also realize that we are a team and that the quarterback is never held accountable for uh, 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 the amount of yards obtained on special teams, right? The running back is never held accountable of how many field goals we make because it's two different positions and it's two different objectives. But yet the kicker and the special teams unit, as well as the quarterback, they all wear the same jersey. So what we have to understand is we are a team and we have different roles, and that we're not against each other. We have to improve as a people and to no longer have an evil eye towards one another. So now that we have the definition of misogyny, let's get the definition of the opposite, right? The opposite will be considered feminism. Okay, let's get the definition of feminism. All right, according to Google, right, looking at the overview, it says that feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. All right, but when you see this, and this is why 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 19 says, hey, the wisdom of this world is foolish, because when you actually look at the opposites, they literally contradict one another. All right. This is why it's important that you obtain your wisdom and your understanding from the Bible as an Israelite, because feminism fights for equality amongst the sexes. Misogyny involves prejudice towards women. So when you look at it and you really think about it, those actually contradict one another. So this is why when we see the broken link of Esau and in this world, we have to turn to the Most High God in understanding our roles as a people and understanding how an evil eye towards one another is the reason why we can't prosper as a people. You understand? So let's go to the scriptures real quick, because first came the disobedience, then the curse, right? And in order to move forward, we have to keep order, all right, and teach the generation to come. You understand? So let's go to the scriptures real quick. What happened first? It was the disobedience. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, and the serpent sold unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Right? So the problem here in the disobedience here is Satan tempted the weaker vessel, the woman, all right, and wanting to be like God, wanting to be powerful. You understand? It says what? And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes, that it looked good, that this doctrine, right, I could learn this and I can eat of it, right? It says what? And a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So this doctrine, right, that Jezebel spirit, that Satan, that Satan, that serpent came and it deceived, right? the woman, the weaker vessel, right? Reading on, right? In verse 16, it says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply the sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Hey, Salakia Israel, I got maintenance in replacing my hot water heater. But yet and still, you know what I'm saying? The truth got to come out. Right? And it says what? The conception, basically, in that verse is saying that conception will be painful. Right? Can brothers hear me good? Come. Right? In a sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Right? And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground of thy sake, for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. So painful conception, right, in childbirth, and then now the man, right, cursed shall be the ground that you till and make your money with. You understand? So cursed by the hand of your labor and cursed of your nurturing and your ability to, bring children into the world, right? So there was the disobedience. Now we see the curse in Deuteronomy 28 and 56 through 57. It says, what? The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, right? So on and so forth. So right there, you see how the woman is now, she went from not wanting to do work, right? And accepting her role and being, taken care of and provided for. And now she has a desire to be like the man. I can work construction. I could lay pipe. I can go do some plumbing. But when you look in all of these different work fields, you see that the woman is just holding the sign and directing traffic. She's not the one laying rebar on the construction sites. You go to the truck driving company and you see on the dock, she taking advantage and using her beauty to manipulate and get people to do her job for her, right? So you see how the evil eye towards the man is coming about. So that's the curse, right? So what do we do? How do we solve the problem is by further proving one another during the courting stages, right? And also doing what? Making sure that we understand our roles and what the Most High God wants us to do, and what are the commandments amongst relationships when it comes to marriage, right? So when we go to the book of Sirach, chapter 6, we start at verse 7. It says, what? If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. Don't just be quickly laying down and getting married. All right. Don't just be quickly assuming a position of this relationship. We have to prove, and we have to thoroughly prove. You understand? It says what? For Salakia, for some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble. Hey, sometimes men have bad intentions, and we have to thoroughly prove one another first, right? Skipping down to verse 14, it says, a faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that has found such a one hath found a treasure. So we see this is twofold, right? In the proving process, you have to thoroughly prove so that we know that this is a good husband. So this is a good wife. You understand? It says what? Nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, and its excellency is invaluable. So you see the importance of it, right? The reward in the further proving process. A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright. So you direct it according to the commandments. You understand? It says, what? For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also, right? Birds of a feather flock together, right? And you have to understand that you start to take on the spirit, right, of this individual. Y'all lay with each other. Y'all dwell with each other. So it's important that y'all put Yahweh Shah as the rock of the relationship, right? Understanding the roles of the covenant, right? When we go to the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 18, it says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, that it is fit in the Lord. That man must keep the commandments and direct you to keep the commandments. Anything outside of it, we have to get counsel for it. You understand? As it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. What is misogyny? Be not bitter against them. Not the F these hoes spirit, Salaki for the language, but that's what misogyny is. It's a degrading sense. You're supposed to deal with your woman according to knowledge, you're supposed to love her as Christ loved and lead. You understand? By example. Women are supposed to submit. Let's go to Ephesians real quick before I pass it. Ephesians chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse 22. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Yahweh Shah, the Hamashiach, is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Not this is not subjection. This isn't, well, it's case by case. No, in everything. This man that's keeping the commandments and he's fearing the Lord, if he sees something, you don't necessarily see it, doesn't matter. Put your opinion to the side and in everything submit unto him. Right? It says, husbands, love your wives. Okay, not degrade them, not rule with like a lion in your household. You're supposed to be patient, long suffering, and understand that they are the weaker vessel and they give unto their emotions first. They're loyal to their emotions first. You understand? Reading on, it says, even as Christ also loved the church. Think about how Christ loves you and how patient he is to you. Think about how many times you have messed up. You understand? So one of the strongholds in our community is we're not understanding our gender roles. You understand? We're not understanding our positions, and we have an evil eye towards one another. And this is a stronghold. And this what it's doing is it's hindering us from the order of the Most High, and it's keeping us from dwelling as a people. Right? Finishing out, it says, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. When the last time you've been a sacrificial husband, right? You prioritize being a provider, all right, and establishing what that safe space for her to open up and express what it is on her spirit, what she's struggling with, so you can crack open the scriptures and lead her by example and lead her according to scripture, right? And he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or in any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself, for no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourish and cherish it, even as the Lord the church. So that's very plain, man, right? All in all, we're supposed to deal according to knowledge, be patient and long suffering. Women, you're supposed to submit in all things unto that man of righteousness, that man that fears the Lord. And we have to understand our positions. We're not against each other. We have an evil eye towards one another, just how the brother Ash was bringing out how the brothers have evil eyes towards one another. They're in competition. They have an evil eye in thinking that the street that they stay on is theirs, when it's actually the white man's. Hoover Street is not your name. That's not your name. Your name is Israel, not Hoover Street, not Grape Street. You understand? Not the bricks. All right. Not A Leaf. None of these different places in Babylon the Great belongs to you. You understand? But I yield there, King. You got it.
Con. Hey, I'm gonna do you one. I'm gonna do you one better when it comes to the definition. Right, the opposite of misogyny. Here, I'm gonna get it. But let me know if they see my screen. We good?
Con, you good, King? Zoom in.
So this word is called misandry, right? If you look at it, it's literally the exact same definition that the brother brought out. The only difference is men, right? So a dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against men, right? So that same spirit that the brother was talking about, that misogynistic spirit, well, it goes both ways. It's on our sisters just as much as it's on our brothers. And I'm not gonna harp too much on it because the brother broke it down beautifully, right? We want to be in the order of the Most High, right? But the thing that's hindering us from doing so is that evil eye that we have towards each other, right? And part of renewing your mind is focusing on what? Shedding these curses that we have on us, right? The evil eye being the example in this case, right? If you can look at your sister, as the brother eloquently brought out, if you can look at your sister and understand that she is the weaker vessel, right? What's stopping you from, hey, showing a little more compassion, right? Sisters, if you know that you are the weaker vessel, what's stopping you from, hey, yielding to a man in his judgment, right? It goes both ways, but we have to kill that evil eye that we have towards one another, right? The Most High God set up his order, right? And if we've forgotten it.
Salakia King, I got a definition of misandry. I forgot to pull it up. Actually, that's through the spirit. You want me to pull it up for you?
I just had it on the screen. If you want to pull it up again, go for it.
Okay. If you already did, you go ahead and keep cooking. I just kill it.
So, real quick, let's get the order of the Most High. Classic book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, Salakia, and verse number 3 says, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayed or prophesied with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head. For that is even all one, as if she were shaven." Right? So dishonoring your head, right? Not having your head covered when you're praying or prophesying is literally tantamount to being a bald-headed woman out here, right? And I mean, yeah, you got some sisters that are just, I don't know, I don't have any righteous judgment on what they personal preference and their style is, but you got some sisters that are here that wear like the fades and the low cuts, right? But by and large, women typically like to have longer hair, right? No woman like to be bald headed, right? At least from what I know. Brothers, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So when you are praying and prophesying and doing this, that, and the third for the Most High, toward the Most High, and you're doing it with your head uncovered, you have to understand that you're dishonoring your head, right? It'd be just like a brother that wants to be out on the highways and hedges shaking the hand, but you got a hat on, right? You're dishonoring Yahweh Shai, right? Verse 6, it says, "For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let it be covered." Right? That was the point I was just bringing out. If, as sisters, if you are ashamed of being bald-headed, to the point to where you have to wear wigs, right? To the point to where you have to do something to kind of hide the fact that you're bald-headed, right? You're going to cover it. You should give that same amount of attention and diligence, right, to that honor that you give to your husbands. You never want to dishonor your husband because it'll just be like you walking outside with your bald head shown. It's literally tantamount to the same thing, right? And it's very important because, as the brother brought out, right, even all the way back in the beginning in the garden, right, who did the serpent go after the tent? He went to the woman, Eve, right? With 1 Timothy chapter 2. Start at verse 13, right? Actually, Salakia, I'm going to start at verse start at verse 11, right? It says, "Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not, meaning I don't tolerate a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression." Right? So again, it goes back to the point to where, sisters, you know that you are the weaker vessel, right? At what point do you decide to, okay, hearken unto my husband? He's saying, hey, I see a spirit on me. He sees a spirit on me, right? Instead of bucking back saying, hey, don't put that type of stuff on me. Don't put that on me. No, take the time to wusa and kind of examine what it is that he's telling you, right? If he be a man of the Lord, right? And then it goes back to that proven process that the brother was bringing out as well. It's the same thing. Men have to prove the women also you have to prove your husbands. If you thought this man was a man of the Lord when y'all were in your proven phase, well, then he has to still be a man of the Lord now when he's saying, hey, I see a spirit on you, right? You can't just flip-flop. You can't go back and forth. He can't have been a man of the Lord when you decide to lay with him, but now he's not a man of the Lord because he's telling me he sees a spirit on me. No, it goes both ways, right? The man is supposed to be that hedge of protection for you, right? He's here to not just protect you from physical threats, right? But to protect you from the spiritual ones, right? Adam was supposed to be in that hedge of protection for Eve. When that serpent started coming around, he's supposed to say, hey, no, get out of here. We're not with that. And Eve was supposed to submit herself into the subjection of her husband, right? We're not supposed to eat that, Eve. Okay, we're not supposed to eat that, right? Let me get one more. I'm going to pass it. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, verse 2. It says, "And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of waters in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land," right? This is the men that the Most High God are setting up in these last days, right? You're so-called, not so-called, but you're quote unquote elect, right? Most High willing. These are the men that the Most High God are setting up in these last days. They're going to be a hiding place for you, right? They're going to be they're going to be a shield, a covert, right, from the tempest, right? What's a tempest? A tempest is a strong gale force wind that can do damage, right? Rivers of water in a dry place, right? At the end of the day, these men are going to be an oasis unto you, right? That's why the Lord say that, Isaiah, the classic Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, it says, "In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach," right? Well, the only reason we receive reproach is by going against the will of the Most High God, right? And if these men that the Lord is setting up in these last days are going to be basically a sanctuary from all of this reproach, hey, then sisters, we got to kind of humble down and start to get in order with what the Most High God is asking us to do first and foremost. And on the flip side, brothers, we got to start standing up and start being the men that the Most High God is setting up in these last days to be a hiding place from the wind, a covert from the tempest, where none of us are going to fulfill those particular roles until we start turning from our wickedness, until we start renewing our mind, until the men start saying, hey, you know what? I've been doing it wrong. The Lord says he wants me to do this, that, and the third. So I'm going to do just that and the third with all of my ability. Right? And when sisters say, you know what? Hey, I've been doing it wrong. The Lord says he wants me to do this, that, and the third. It's the same thing. We all have the same fight, right? We don't none of us go to work and tell our supervisor, hey, you know what? We're going to do it this way today. and expect a good outcome out of that, right? Well, why do we do that when it comes to the Most High God? This Bible was written well before our grandparents.
I think the brother froze up.
Yeah, look like he's stuck.
Yeah, give him a second.
Con, I'm back. But yeah, you know what? I'm gonna yield right there, just in case.
Okay. My points, even though we had a little hatred from the Satan coming at the end. But I'm gonna continue with mines. Basically, we know once we come into the truth, right, we have a more deeper, more. It's very simple, right? More simple understanding, but it's deeper than that. But I have to say, we know that we're supposed to come in here, and it's all about keeping the commandments of God and having faith in Yahweh Shai, right? So we're supposed to be trying to hold on to eternal life. Our goal is to get to the kingdom, right? So that's what basically everything is. That's warning people and everything else, right? And so on and so forth. But the main thing is to have our goals, our minds, our sets are set to go into the kingdom. But a lot of people still from back in this world, even till now, and in Israel, a lot of people focus on money, right? Like money is not a bad thing. So I'm gonna just start that off with that. We all know we need the money, right? We got bills, life, food, et cetera, et cetera. It's our defense, right? But that's not what I'm speaking about. I'm speaking on the ones that like to just get it for their own vainglory to show you that, oh, I got the big house, I got the best car, I got the best fabric, I got the best garment on. Mine's cost $700. Mine's cost 1,000, 1,500. Like, yeah, I know it's a high holy day. We want to look nice because our people do come from royalty and we have the fine linens and garments. That's one thing. That's good. We just want to look nice, right? But we all know that's all materialistic stuff, and we can't take none of that with us, right? So our people have to learn to be content with things and to keep their focus on the Most High, right? I'm going to start off with just First Timothy 6:6, right? But godliness with contentment is great gain, right? So we want to have godliness with us. You got to be content with just knowing these statutes, the laws, and commandments, and keeping them, doing the best that you can. You have to have some type of um, be happy with what you got, right? And don't be like unappreciative, right? It says, "For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out." You came in here with nothing, and you're going to leave with nothing, right? And even Job said the same thing as well. When we go look at his in Job 1, and I think it's 21, because he had lost a lot of things too as well, right? And he said, naked came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord have taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord, right? So it's like you're coming out the womb, and you're not going to have anything else when you go back into it either, as far as when you leave this earth, right? So our main thing is we need to seek first the kingdom of God, and all this righteousness shall be added into you, right? So we're going to go to Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Everything, once you put the Most High first, all things will be added unto you. It can be times where you may be late on a bill or you ain't got no gas to get to work. But since you've been keeping the commandments and you have that faith in Yahweh Shai, hey, I speak on personal experience. Sometimes, hey, that light that come on with the gas, that just stayed on just a little bit longer. I was able to get to work and get back home, knowing I should have ran out of gas, right? It's a true story, right? It happens. You feel me? So the Most High will take care of you, right? It's not all about this vainglory. Let's go to Sirach 29:11. It says, lay up thy treasures according to the commandments of the Most High, and it shall bring thee more profit than gold. Lay up your treasures according to the commandments. Love your brother, right? Get your dietary in order, right? Wear the fringes. You keeping faith in the Most High and Yahweh Shai, right? I mean, Yahweh Shai and Yahweh, excuse me. So it's like you're going to bring these, it's going to be more profit than gold. Like he's going to make a way for you. All that money is just vainglory. It's supposed to be just for a defense. It's not supposed to be to stun on your brothers. It's not supposed to say, I got the best garment, I got the best head wrap, is bejeweled, dazzled, things of that nature. We have to understand that money doesn't really mean nothing, especially how we see how the world is moving now, right? The power go out, what you gonna do with the money? You did all that stuff for crypto, you did all that, you showing off, can't even access it. Then what you gonna do? What you gonna rely on? That's when you gotta rely on the most high. But by then, it may be too late for people, right? Some of them, right? I'm gonna go with James 4:14. It says, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. That's like saying you just nothing but a vapor, right? Just a cloud of smoke. You seen somebody smoke out their vape pen, they blow out the smoke, you see it, it's here for a little bit, then it's gone. That's just our life. Same thing with that. We're not here for a long time, right? We're here just for a short time, basically, right? So in that time frame, it's not about getting money, showing off to your brother, showing off to your sister, all this materialistic stuff, because that could be gone within an instant, right? Natural disaster, people can steal it, whatever, but they can't steal or take your spirit, and your spirit can't be bought in that way to get in, because you can't buy your way into the heavens, right? Money is not going to stop anything. Money, like money can't stop you from dying, right? Money can't even look at P. Diddy. He got all that money. He can buy his way about to get a not guilty. All that money don't mean nothing. In Israel, we have to learn that we have to just use money as a defense to help your brother in need, to help yourself. It ain't to be stunting on nobody or to brag about what all you got, because you could lose all that. Even the garments is materialistic, right? So if you don't have the best garment, what that mean? That you're not a good Israelite no more? Your spirit is tainted? No. So we have to learn that we're gonna be like that vapor smoke. We're only gonna be here for a little bit, and then we're gonna vanish. So in the meantime, between time, fear God, keep these commandments. That's our whole duty. Now yield.
Mighty points, man. That's through the spirit, man. I actually got a lesson cooked up that I did early this morning. Israel, stay tuned on being content, right? And being overly concerned in the riches and the prosperity of this world. So that's through the spirit. And I actually dive deeper into that in a video that I'm gonna post later this week. Right. So mighty points, King. Mighty points. I'm a again, I'm a let me back off of you, man. Not only does that serve as a stronghold on our people, overvaluing money, right, in an unhealthy way, but also that trust nobody, chase a check spirit. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure a lot of us have heard that before too. You know what I'm saying? You scroll on Instagram, you scroll on Facebook or what have you, and you see this little meme where it's a cat or it's a Eve. She thumbing through some cash, licking her finger, thumbing through some cash, talking about, look, I'm worried about me. I ain't worried about nobody else. I'm sticking to mine. Right. And what it does is it serves as a crab in the bucket mentality. And it's also nursing hatred. And we get it from a lot of these songs that we listen to. So real quick, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Let me show y'all something. Right. Check this out right here.
One gentleman had this 5-gallon paint bucket and he had probably 5 or 6 crabs in there. He's casting his net and I'm looking at the bucket of crabs and I see this one ambitious crab crawling on top of all the rest, and he's starting to reach up towards the rim of the bucket. Clearly, this crab is trying to make a getaway. So being a good Samaritan, I'm like, hey, Mr. Fisherman, your crab's about to get away. Without even turning around to look at me, he goes, watch what happens next. Then all of a sudden, this little ambitious crab that's like starting to hoist itself up gets pulled down by all the other crabs at the bottom of the bucket. And in that moment, I realized, holy shit, I have these type of crabs in my life who were constantly doubting me, who were constantly hating on me. One gentleman.
So that's really, what our people. That's what happens in the poverty and stricken environments. And we see that a lot of our people, they are willing to step on toes. They are willing to say mean things. They are willing to even give up their own dignity and morals and principles to get to a certain social status, to get to, you know, a 6-figure bank account, to get this parked outside, to get their mother out the hood. When the person that you stepping on and the person you're disrespecting and taking advantage of to get there, they're going through the same thing. So everybody's on the same mission, right, to get this false Babylonian narrative and this goal, right? And that's what it ends up being. We resemble the crabs in a bucket, right? And who's the one that kind of turned around and grinned and said, watch what happens? That's Esau. He's the one put us in this situation. Ultimately, it's the Lord, but the Lord is using Esau, right? The Lord is the one that is using him to oppress us, right? And you look further into that when you look at, you know, the creation of a slave, you know, when you look at, you know, the different documents like, you know, the Willie Lynch letter, so on and so forth, right? And let me show y'all the stronghold and one of the things that nurses that stronghold on our people, right? I'm going to pull up the lyrics to a song, a very popular song, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people know, right? This is by Boosie, right? And it's called Trust Nobody, right? And when you look up the lyrics in the very beginning of the song, he's speaking out of experience and he's nursing hatred in his heart and he's encouraging others to carry on that crab in the bucket mentality of, you know, how I've been the crab up top that's finna get out the bucket and then somebody has pulled me down. So I'm encouraging everybody at the bottom, don't trust nobody, continue to have this crab in the bucket. It's a big, huge, unhealthy, it's a bad circle, man. And all in all, the same spirit of everybody that's in this bad circle and in this bucket, they have that spirit that Brother Osh was bringing out, that covetous spirit towards the riches and prosperity of this world. So watch. At the beginning of this song, I'm not going to play that carnal ass song, but what I will do is read you the lyrics. And it says what? Trust nobody. Don't trust your friend. Don't trust your sister. Don't trust your brother. Don't even trust your mama or your father or your grandmother or your grandfather. Trust nobody. Don't trust your girl or your girl's girlfriend, period. Right? So he's setting rules and regulations, right, of this carnal rule book of the streets. You understand? And a lot of our people, right, this is the stuff that they go by. Sadly saying, right? But let's actually go to the scriptures, right? Because that's what we want to use as the use of edifying. That's what we want to refer to, right? Not the knowledge and the wisdom of this world, but the scriptures. When we go to Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 26, it says, be ye angry and sin not. All right. So the things that you go through, they're going to be traumatizing. This is a wicked world. We're in Babylon. But it says sin not, right? In order for you not to sin, even though you're mad, it requires you to practice temperance, self-control, and you have to rule over your spirit. It says what? Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place unto the devil. Right here, Boosie is giving place unto the devil. He's nursing hatred. All right. He's harboring that resentment towards what has been done to him in life. And that's how the Lord does not want us to move. When we go to Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17 in the NLT, it says what? Do not nurse hatred in your heart for any of your relatives. Confront people directly so you will not be held guilty for their sin. You're supposed to talk things out, right? And that requires you to look at your brother, your sister, your relatives, your Israelite neighbor with tender and delicateness. I love Kasadi and I love Ash. And if there's an art with these two brothers, I'm not going to hatred towards them. I'm going to pull them to the side. Hey, King, why you said this? Well, like, where you coming from? Do you see something that I don't see? What made you say this? Talk things out. Reason with your brothers. Iron it out. And if there be a dispute, right, we go to Matthew and we see what was it, 18 and 21. We see how to deal with certain matters. You don't nurse hatred, right? It says what? Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against a fellow Israelite, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. So that's why you know what I'm saying, that completely cuts that song by Mo3. You know what I'm saying? They scared to come outside. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna slide on, so on and so forth. This is what we're nursing, hatred. When somebody does us wrong, the stronghold that's on our people, and what I've noticed as well, is that we have and we encourage others to trust nobody and have that evil eye and nurse that hatred that Brother Ash was bringing out, right? When we go to Ephesians chapter 4, picking up at verse 31, it says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice, and be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Hamashiach's sake, hath forgiven you. So we have to reciprocate God's love to the people around us. That's plain. I ain't even got to break that down. Let me get this last one and I'm going to pass it, right? We're going to go to Psalm chapter 62 and verse 10. Trust not in oppression and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. So that's the reason why I bring that precept out, is further proving and driving Brother Ash's point home. We can't trust in oppression, right? What is oppression? That dollar ain't got your face on it. It got your oppressors on it. And you trusting in that. You trust nobody else who the Lord has put in your life. You've chosen to trust in that money. Trust in that oppression. You understand what I'm saying? And the Lord is saying to not do this. When your riches increase, you're not supposed to set your heart on them, because there your treasure will be also. Right? I yield there.
Mighty points by both the brothers, man. Hey, I'm just kind of follow the path that's being laid out, right? Brothers bringing out some mighty points. We got to be real careful, because at the end of the day, well, first and foremost, let's set the stage. It's the book of Zechariah, the classic, chapter 13 and verse number 8, right? It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Most High, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein, right? Just to give that a visual representation, right? That's, mind you, this is 66.6%, right? Just to give you a visual representation. There's 3 brothers on this call right now, right? 2 of us got to get cut off and die, leaving only 1 brother that's got a sincere spirit to teach, right? To feed the sheep, to give out the words of the Most High God to his people, right? That's a very sobering visual. So we always have to make sure, with this visual in mind, right, that we're very, very, very selective on who it is that we're following, right? Like the brother brought out the example of Boosie in them lyrics, right? A lot of our people follow that. They want to emulate that. They want to be like that. Because what? It goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. Their mindset is being a friend of the world. They're seeing that grass being green on the other side, right? The example of Diddy that the brother Ash brought out. People emulate that. They want to be like that because Diddy got this, that, and the third. Nobody ever stops to think about, okay, is this person actually doing the will of the Most High God? Right? Or is this person doing what he wants to do and getting profited from it? Because here, real quick, while it's fresh in my mind, I don't want to forget it. Book of Luke. Actually, no, I'm gonna get it in Matthew. Matthew chapter 4. I'm gonna start at verse 8, right? It says, again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then said Yahushua to him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him shalt thou serve. Right? Yahushua didn't kind of tell Satan, didn't kind of tell the devil, hey, you know what? You don't have the ability to grant me all the kingdoms of the world. He didn't say that. No. He said, no, it is written, you shall worship the Lord thy God. Only him shalt thou serve. So what does that mean, right? That means that when it comes to riches and material wealth, right, the devil and Satan has the ability to give these things to you. The brother just did a class 2 nights ago, or the night before last, Thursday night, right? Titled, I forget the title. I'm about to butcher the title. Brother, forgive me, because he can watch this and be like, what the? But
He said, "No, the title. I did that last night, King. Don't feel bad. Me and Potter was talking. And the title of the class was all gains aren't godly. I believe.
All gains aren't godly, right? It goes into the precept that Ash brought out, right? Thinking godliness and contentment is great gain, but not all gains are godly. A lot of these gains come from the left-hand side, right? And we have to be able to identify these things, right? Because it's real easy. Again, in our flesh is sown envy. And it's real easy to want to keep up with the Joneses, right? But here, let me let the scripture speak. It's the book of Titus. I'm starting chapter 1. I'm gonna start at verse 7, right? It says, for a bishop must be blameless as the steward of the Most High, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre, right? So this is something that these are characteristics of a man of the Lord that you should look at, right? That you should look at. You could tell if this person is an actual man of the Lord or not if he exhibits these things, right? Verse 8, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, temperate, holding fast the faithful word as he hath been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers, right? For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, right? And again, they of the circumcision, that will be our people, Israel, right? And again, we have the visual right here before your eyes. 2 of us got to go. Only one of us is going to make it, right? Verse 11, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not for filthy lucre's sake, right? You got Jakes that literally know that they're Israel, that are in certain congregations, that do video lessons similar to this, right? That have that spirit on them so heavily to the point to where they literally put scriptural breakdowns behind paywalls. Hey, if you want to get the breakdown on Revelation 12, right? You want to learn who the dragon is, this, that, and the third. Oh, Revelation 13, you want to know who the beast is? Hey, go to my Patreon, right? No. The scriptures say, buy the word, sell it not, right? If you have people that are willing to only push this word with the expectation of getting some type of financial compensation, right? You have to ask yourself, well, are they really giving me the full, unedited, uncut doctrine, right? Or are they giving me something out of their own mind or their own heart? Again, out of these 3 boxes you see on your screen, only one of us is giving it to you in sincerity. right? And I don't mean like literally, but this is a visual representation. And that this issue right here, right, is one of the main reasons why a lot of our people have the mindsets that we have today. A lot of our people have all these topics that we've been bringing out the past 3 weeks, right? These mindsets were ingrained in us from the so-called Christian church. Sow a seed, the Lord gonna bless you, right? Will a man rob God? We know all of the classic verses, right, that they like to throw out at us to get us to line their pockets up, right? Meanwhile, you see you see your grandma, she's been in the same church building for 20, 30 years on the same benches, everything rotting away, but they've been given all this money, all this time, right? Pastor got some nice frames, nice little Suburban Tahoe outside, brand new. Probably got some rims on it. First lady probably got the latest Coach and Louis Vuitton and this, that, and third. But we still sitting in this old rotten building. This is what it means to not have a sincere heart for the Lord, but your God being money, right? A man cannot serve two masters. And this is a sign that shows you, right, that things like that are a sign that shows you the type of man that you're following, the type of woman that you are following, right? Yeah, I'm gonna try to speed it up because we passed the hour in. All right. At the end of the day, we have to understand what? The book of Proverbs, chapter 11. We'll start at verse 1. It says, a false balance is abomination to the Most High, but a just weight is his delight, right? It's a false balance, right? Knowing that your people are in their captivity. And your whole soul mission is to preach to them and expect them to give what they don't even have back into you. That way you can live it up and fat cat it in this captivity while they continue to struggle, while they continue to thirst and be hungry, right? And I'm not even talking about physical food at this point. I'm talking about for the word, and this through the spirit, because this is something that bothers me tremendously. How the hell do you have a breakdown and say, go to my Patreon to get it? What is that? Right? It says, when pride cometh, then cometh shame. But with the lowly is wisdom, right? The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them, right? You're gonna accumulate all this money, all this wealth, right? Quote unquote. And all this little crypto, right? And like the brother Ash brought out, your power gonna go off and now you can't even access it, let alone use it. What happens when they stop accepting the dollar? It's coming. It's coming real quick. Right? Brother Potter brought out on the latest history class, right? This fiat currency, this paper money, right, is only given value because it's backed by gold, right? Well, do you not realize that your US dollar has not been backed by gold since Richard Nixon was in office? That was in the 70s. Look it up. He took it off the gold standard. The only reason that the dollar has value now is because what? OPEC and the deal that was cut back then, which made the American dollar what's called a petrodollar, making it the world reserve currency all around the world, in which oil is bought and sold, right? Well, OPEC is getting ready to cut that same deal with these BRICS nations, the Russias, the Chinas, the Brazils of the world, right? and they're getting ready to cut off the dollar. So what's going to happen when nobody in the world no longer needs US dollars in order to buy and sell oil all around the world? It's going to mean nothing. You can't buy oil with it, and it's not backed by gold, right? Why do you think they pushing all this cryptocurrency nonsense? Verse 4, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness deliver from death, right? These riches aren't going to save you, right? Real quick, let's get a little bit on that day of wrath. Book of Isaiah, chapter 29. Start at verse 5, right? It says, moreover, the multitude of thy strangers shall be like small dust, and the multitude of the terrible ones shall be as chaff that passeth away. Yea, it shall be at an instant, suddenly, right? That day of wrath going to hit us suddenly, right? Thou shalt be visited of the Most High of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest. There go that word again, tempest, right? And the flame of devouring fire. Remember that word tempest. Book of Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 2. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest. Again, who are you following? Right? Who is massaging your mindset? Who is filling your brain up? Where is your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding coming from? Is it coming from this world, or is it coming from the Most High? Right? You can say, oh, well, at least this is my people and I love my. Well, the Most High does not love everybody. Right? He doesn't. First and foremost, his love is only to the children of Israel. And when you filter it down past that, book of Proverbs chapter 8, verse 17, right? It says, I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Right? The people that you should be following, they have to love the Most High God with all their heart. They can't be out here teaching for their own gain. Right? They can't be out here teaching with their own ambitions and intentions. Right? Book of 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse number 2. It says, feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, right? The people you should be following should be trying to teach you because they really want to. They have the sincere desire to help exhort you and build you up in the spirit. They have the sincere desire to show you the Most High God and his will for you, right? His will for all of us, because the Most High ain't a respecter of persons. It says not for filthy lucre. Actually, let me refresh it, right? It says, feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, neither as being lords over the Most High's heritage, but being ensamples to the flock, right? We have to let our light shine, right? We are the light of the world, as Yahushua calls us. A lamp isn't put under a bushel that is hid. No, it's put on top of a table, right? And give it light to the whole room. That's the mindset that we must carry, right? If we want to say we're walking in this truth, right? If we are the light, that means everything else, what, is darkness, right? The light is separate from the darkness, right? Following the ways of darkness is being at enmity with the Most High God, right? Having that mind set on darkness is having that mind set on being at enmity with the Most High God. We have to renew our minds. Here, I get one more, then I'll pass it. I done took a lot of the time to lock it, y'all. Book of Psalm, chapter 82. Start from the top, right? It says, the Most High standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Right? How long are we going to continue to look at he, she, and they who have an abundance and think that, hey, that's the way to live, right? Whatever proverb or wise saying that they give me, that's what I'm going to go by. How long are we going to continue to do that, right? Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all still in our captivity. We are all still under the thumb of Esau, right? But the people that look like they have something that we want, right? What does the Lord say about them? Verse 5, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course, right? We're called to walk in that light, not in darkness, right? Because we've been walking in darkness, the whole order that the Most High God has set for us is all out of whack. And what was that order? We bring it out at camp every single week. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And we're not living that right now. And we won't live that again until we do what? Renew our mind. And with that, I yield.
Calm, mighty points, mighty points. I'm gonna just let me back off of the brother because I was talking about earlier as well. I'll make it quick as well. Basically all boils back down to like this world's wisdom is foolishness with God. Telling people not to trust no one is foolish. And to a certain extent, you may say understandable, but that's really because you haven't did the steps it takes to meet somebody and prove them as a friend, right? So there's rules and regulations to a lot of things, right? Even in here in the books, that the Most High provided us with, right? He tells us how to prove a friend, so you can trust somebody, right? It's beneficial to have people in your corner that you can trust and that you can call and talk to, right? So let's go. First, we're gonna go to Sirach 6 and 7, right? It's about proving a friend because it says the people in the world like to say, trust no one. So they're already setting you up for failure. But he wants you to trust him and telling you not to trust no one. It doesn't make any sense, right? But Sirach 6 and 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first. You got to prove these people first, right? And be not hasty to credit him. Don't be so quick to credit them. Don't be so quick to put them on a high pedestal. You don't know these people yet. You have to get to learn them and understand them through their spirit, right? It says, for some men is a friend for his own occasion. Some people will befriend you just so that they can have their own benefits. Sometimes they have their own agenda. Sometimes people want something from you. That's why they're your friend or claim to be, right? And will not abide in the day of thy trouble. When you really need them, when you in trouble, they're not around. They get ghost on you, right? So let me go down furthermore. It tells you a faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such in one hath found a treasure, right? We all know how good a treasure is. You find you a good faithful friend, you hold on to that person, right? They're gonna hold on to you. Nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable. You can't put a price on somebody being faithful to you. They can't be bought. They respect you. They have that. That's giving you good reason to understand money can't buy them. You could trust that person, especially as being in this truth now. You want to be able to trust your brothers, to be able to, like I said, talk with them and believe in them. Because if you out here on these highways and hedges, you out here on camp holding posts, you might be teaching, your back is turned. So you want to be able to trust the person holding posts behind you or even on the side of you that's going to help protect you, right? That's going to be there for you. That's not going to be like like if you watch football, like a lineman that's going to just let the DN come by and sack the quarterback. We're not about that, right? But besides that, you got to be able to trust someone, right? Because you need someone to bear your burdens on, someone to be able to call you to help you get through certain things. Let's get some of these quick classics, and I'm gonna stop. Right? Let's go to Galatians 6:2 and 2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Right? Because we're supposed to love thy brother, right, as thyself. So you got to bear one another's burdens, right? So he has to be able to trust you. You have to be able to trust him, right? He can call you up. Hey, I'm going through these things. I need a ear. Sometimes people just need an ear. As men, sometimes you need to vent. I'm not saying you're complaining, but sometimes you have to get some things off your chest as well and be able to trust the person that you're talking to and that you're confiding in is going to help you and reassure you and give you some good wisdom, right? To help you move on and not help you suffer from sin, right? And it says, for if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself, right? Don't lie to yourself. You saying you want to trust no one, right? And you thinking that you something high and mighty, that you don't need nobody, you're lying to yourself. Once again, this world's wisdom is foolishness with the most high, right? Like you can't listen to what all these rappers are talking about because they're delusional within themselves, right? And I'm gonna get the last one, one of the classics. Ecclesiastes 4:9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. Verse 10. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath no another to help him up. So it's good to have your brothers there so you can trust, right? Because if you fall, someone's there to pick you up, right? To help get your spirit back. Someone to help keep you accountable. If we're supposed to be working out, and I'm like, I'm not gonna feel like working out today. Through the spirit, the brother may call you or he may test you, like, hey man, you go work out? Let's do it. Help keep you accountable. Iron sharpens iron, but that's only going to come if you trust, right? So we can't have these strongholds of these worldly sayings and these people just saying don't trust no one because that's stupid. You got to have wisdom when you're dealing with people. You understand there's snakes and fakes out there, yes, but like I said, you got to have wisdom and you got to have brothers that you can trust and you got to prove a friend. Now yield.
Mighty points by both brothers, man. I definitely think we were very thorough in part 1, 2, and 3 in regards to bringing up many different strongholds on our people and how it affects their mind and how they hold on to these things when they come into the truth, and then they wonder why they can't move forward and progress in this truth and grow. And it's because those strongholds are stunning the growth spiritually, right? So with that, we'll go ahead and shut it down. Lord willing, somebody was edified or will be edified on a replay in the coming days, right? Take the time out to maybe, write down, jot down some strongholds that we didn't mention, right? We can go on and on and on. We can get 4, 5, 6, 7, part 8. You understand? It's so many different strongholds that hinders us from moving forward in this truth, right? So, with that, we'll go ahead and say Shalom. We love you, Israel. Any points you had, Kasadia?
I can.
Khan, all praises unto the Most High God. You good, Ash? Khan, right? Hopefully we wasn't too redundant, you know what I'm saying, or repetitive, but the main thing is we wanted to thoroughly get people to get our brothers and sisters to understand that we have to renew our mind and kill off that old man, right, and mortify our members. So with that, we love you, Israel. Hey, until next week, Shalom.